Hello everyone, this will be my last video on the storm. Here is the satellite picture. As you can see, you have your storm forming off the coast of North Carolina now. You have all this moisture on the northwestern side, all these clouds. Once this starts to get really wound up, it'll be a much more impressive satellite signature. Tomorrow morning I'm expecting it to look really neat. I'm looking very forward to that picture. Looking at the radar, zooming out to region. You see, you have your snow starting to make it into eastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, and southern New York here. A little earlier than I expected. Guess some of that moisture is really getting going here with the storm forming. And then you can also see this little area of snow that traversed through Kentucky, even into North Carolina and Virginia here. DC will probably get a little bit out of that today. And so all of that will be moving to the north and east, as you can clearly see here. Alright, just to give an overview, all this pink in here is winter storm warnings along the East Coast. All the purple is winter weather advisories. So if we zoom in a little bit, we'll go to Taunton because this is what I want to show. As I suspected, blizzard warnings did indeed pop up here. Personally, I think Boston should be under a blizzard warning, even though it's not. That's just my thinking, but yeah, National Weather Service has been doing a really good job with this. Alright, so how about the modeling? Well, I go to Tropical Tidbits. Not supposed to show the European. Hold on a second. Okay, so last night the models did shift east for various reasons. And then today they came back and said, no, that's wrong, it's coming west. So it's really tough because the models are having a lot of trouble resolving how the energy is going to interact. So if you look at the 500 millibar here, this is the NAM this afternoon. Alright, first off, so here's the energy, red is a really bad color to be drawing with here. Alright, so here's the piece of energy that created the storm. Here's the steering mechanism. And one thing to notice about the old NAM as compared to the new NAM, so if you look at last night, is that if you look at this now, you see how in the new run of the NAM, this is stronger. You see it's closed off, it looks more together, it's not as strung out. But last night, you see how it's more elongated and more strung out. That's because last night the NAM was saying this southern piece of energy was going to be weaker. With a weaker piece of energy, it's not as likely that it would have come further west, because it's more easily pushed to the east by the steering mechanism. With the stronger piece of energy, it's able to fight and come further to the west. So now with this run, you see it's more consolidated, it's closed off now. So the surface map does not line up with this, but looking at the dynamics, the NAM would argue for a further west track now, about where it was earlier yesterday, before they shifted east last night. So as you can see that happen here. So eventually this phasing is going to happen. And then on the GFS, if you want to look at the GFS quickly, the main difference here, again, is the phasing. So you see how this is tomorrow morning. Here is the energy that created the storm. Here is the steering mechanism. And you see how they start to connect and come together, so watch that. By Tuesday afternoon, bam, there it is. This comes together and your low closes off. But in the old run, sorry, this is actually still the new run. Hold on a second. Let's go to... So in the new run, you see there is no phasing yet. And then there's a little phasing, but as you can see, it's clearly not as together as in the new run. This is just starting to close off. Meanwhile, in the new run, look at that. See the difference? In the new run, it's much more consolidated. It's slightly further west. So the dynamics, again, would once again argue for a further west track. Okay? So now, last night, the models were saying, okay, the NAM was fluctuating with that southern piece of energy, how strong it was going to be. Now it's coming in saying it's going to be stronger. That alone says further west. And then the GFS was having trouble deciding when the energy was going to phase. And now it's saying the phasing is going to be stronger and happen earlier. So that would argue for a further west track. Keep in mind, though, that yesterday afternoon and morning, the models were way further west than they are now. Still. So I still think my forecast was slightly overdone. I didn't change my snowfall map much, but in a couple of areas I had to adjust, like especially for Long Island. I had to move things a little further to the east, because this thing still closes off just a little too late for Long Island to get on the heaviest snow. Excuse me. Alright, and now the European model has come in and said, okay, that phasing is definitely going to happen, so the European model has also shifted west. So overall, the dynamics coming in today in the models favor a further west track than last night, but not as far west as yesterday morning. In fact, I think I can show the 12Z run. See that? Compared to today? See how much further west it is yesterday? This is old. This is yesterday. This is new. Old. New. And then if we go to last night, oh, actually it's still about the same. Yeah, but late last night the GFS was much weaker with this. But overall, though, that phasing is the key here, and the GFS says it is indeed going to happen. So, dynamics would argue for a further west track. But again, not as far west as yesterday. So, what does this mean? Well, first I want to show the surface map, so we can go over timing a little bit. Alright, now keep in mind that this low is going to be strengthening rapidly, especially when that phasing happens. So you're going to get heavy snow on the northwestern side, and it's probably going to be further north and west than the models say. It's typically what happens with these storms. Okay, so as you can see, this is this evening. I think the snow is a little earlier than the models say right now. Well, actually, no, it's about 21Z right now, and the snow's coming into Pennsylvania, so the NAM kind of got that right. Now, you see how you're going to start out as rain across New York City, Long Island, coastal Connecticut. You're going to start out as a rain or a rain and snow mix. But then, by midnight, you'd quickly change to snow because as this low here strengthens, you get dynamic cooling on the northwestern side, lots of upward motion. So, you will quickly change to snow. So, after you quickly change to snow, after midnight, your snow is going to start moving into southern and eastern New England here. And then this storm picks up in intensity as it moves to the north and east, so you're going to have heavier snow bands on the northwestern side. As you can see here, you have these darker blues reaching into central and eastern Long Island, most of Connecticut, central and eastern Massachusetts, and especially out over the Cape here and into Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts. That'll be Tuesday morning. That's going to be the peak of the storm in these areas here. And then as we move ahead, that snow sticks around. And you still have some pretty intense snow bands into the afternoon across eastern New England, now getting into Maine. And then the storm will lift. So this is by Wednesday night, late Wednesday night, the snow starts to lift out of southern New England. And because you have a negatively tilted trough, you're going to have all this moisture being pulled back towards western New England. It's going to be pulled back this way. When you have a negatively tilted trough, the moisture gets pulled back. Remember that. But then late Tuesday night, northern New England's getting the snow still, and it's going to last into Thursday morning. And then, as your storm comes around, you have an upper low here. You have this upper low here. That upper low is going to be moving through on Wednesday, as you can clearly see here. You're going to have snow showers and snow squalls across the Northeast with that. So that'll be something to watch out for on Wednesday. That's not the one I want to show first. All right. Here we go. This is the snowfall map. I like my 1 to 2 feet. I'm keeping it. I'm not changing it. Boston's in the 1 to 2 feet. Providence is in the 1 to 2 feet. Cape Cod is in the 1 to 2 feet. Portsmouth is in the 1 to 2 feet. All of Maine, 1 to 2 feet. Except maybe the northern tip of Maine. I'm not entirely sure about that. That might be more like a 6 to 12. Okay, coming back further west, Worcester, I put you on the western edge of the 1 to 2 feet, so you'd probably be closer to a foot. But watch out in Boston, 1 to 2 feet. All right, here we go. Most of Connecticut, except you might be over a foot in extreme eastern Connecticut, but otherwise it's a general 6 to 12. In Connecticut, that would include Hartford. Western Massachusetts, a general 6 to 12. All of Vermont and western parts of New Hampshire, a general 6 to 12. Meanwhile, as soon as you get into eastern New Hampshire, you get into the 1 to 2 feet. Central and eastern Long Island, we're going to go 6 to 12. So once you get past Nassau County, that's when you start getting into the 6 to 12. I'm going to go over a specific snowfall map for Long Island and New York City because that's where most people who know me live. Nassau County, we're going to go 3 to 6. I think it's more like a 2 to 4. A lot of areas in this 3 to 6, because there's going to be such a sharp gradient, there's going to be a sharp cutoff, it could be more like a 2 to 4, especially further south. New York City is a tough call. I'm going to have to go 1 to 3 in New York City because of the urban heat island, especially with the last storm. We noticed that it snowed really hard and they only got 3 inches. So it's very hard for snow to accumulate this time of year in New York City. So I have the 3 line going through. You could get 3 inches, but I'm thinking more like 1 to 3. Northern New Jersey, northeastern New Jersey, 1 to 3. Northeastern Pennsylvania, 1 to 3. Back towards Binghamton, you get maybe an inch or 2. And then Albany, I'd go 3 to 6. Let's see. I think I covered everybody, but so the main city that I'm concerned about with this storm is Boston. Right in here. This is the storm of the winter for Boston. You're getting your 1 to 2 feet from this storm. Okay, so now let me make something clear about this 1 to 2 feet area. Do I think there is widespread accumulations of 2 feet? No. I don't think so. I think the storm is a little too far offshore to have widespread accumulations of 2 feet. However, in areas where there are heavier snow bands, and this will happen, somebody will get these heavier snow bands to come on shore. That is where you're going to get your 2 feet, and it's going to be local. In areas that don't get snow bands, those heavier snow bands, it's a little less, probably more like a 12 to 18. But out of a precaution and to take into account for those heavier snow bands coming on shore, that's why I decided to go 1 to 2 feet. Okay, so now let us look at Long Island and New York City. So here we go. So a general 2 to 4. So this is the Nassau County, Suffolk County border here. Route 110. West of Route 110, it's a general 2 to 4. You'd be closer to 3 or 4 inches as you get towards Route 110. Again, New York City, I have 2 to 4. I'm thinking more like 1 to 3 because of the urban heat island effect. Lower Hudson Valley, 2 to 4. Just to focus on Long Island, though. Once you get east of 110, that is going to be when you start picking up the 4+ in western Suffolk County. So places like Islip, Sayville, Wisconsin, St. James, Stony Brook, Medford, Brentwood, Bayshore, Deer Park, Fort Salonga, Farmingdale, Babylon, areas like that. That's where you get into the 4+. If heavier snow bands work in, then you might get closer to 8 inches or a little more. But I like 4 to 8 in this area, and it'll probably be more like a 4 to 6, but if heavier snow bands work in, then you get a little more. Once you get to William Floyd, this is where you start picking up the 6+, and then once you get east of William Floyd, that's where you have your 8 to 12. So that'll be for eastern Suffolk County. You're going to pick up the 8 to 12 there, especially as you get over the Twin Forks. Now again, I have 8 to 12 plus. Again, that's more of a precaution because, as you saw, the afternoon model runs did trend a little bit further west, and when you have a strengthening cyclone like this on the northwestern side, you always get heavier snowbands that always produce more snow than forecast. So if those heavier snowbands move in, I would not be surprised if someone out on the Twin Forks picked up a little over a foot. Would not be surprised. I would say the chances of that happening is probably low to moderate. Maybe moderate, because it's a strengthening storm. So yeah, once you get east of William Floyd Parkway, watch out for 8 to 12 inches, and possibly a little more over the Twin Forks. Alright. Hold on, I just lost my menu again. Why does Screencast-O-Matic have to do that? There we go. Sorry, again, as I do these videos, sometimes Screencast-O-Matic decides to take away my menu, and that's really annoying. So, anyway, the last thing I need to show here is the winds. So as this comes to the north and east, you're going to get gusty winds. And it looks like the peak is going to be Tuesday morning. So eastern Suffolk County, hold on. Eastern Suffolk County, why is it not letting me draw? Eastern Suffolk County in here, you start picking up sustained winds of like 20 to 30 miles per hour Tuesday morning. Once you get towards coastal Rhode Island, and especially into southeastern Massachusetts and out on the Cape, this area is where you're getting your blizzard conditions here. This is where the blizzard warnings are. Can eastern Suffolk County reach blizzard warning criteria? That's a very suspect question. You know, I think it's possible, but there is no blizzard warning in effect, and I personally don't blame the National Weather Service for not issuing a blizzard warning for eastern Suffolk County, because the storm is pretty far offshore, and if blizzard warning criteria is met, I think it's going to be for a very brief period of time Tuesday morning. I think it needs to be, for a blizzard warning criteria, it needs to be 3 hours. I'm not sure it's going to last 3 hours. So I do think there is a very good chance of near blizzard conditions in eastern Suffolk County, but I don't know about reaching blizzard warning criteria there. But when it comes to coastal Massachusetts and the Cape, you're definitely going to be in blizzard conditions. So the blizzard warnings there are definitely necessary. All right, that is it. So watch out for this. This is a good storm. Just some food for thought, just because, you know, for those who don't know me, I absolutely love snow, and, you know, I always want the big storms to hit. So right now, as I do this video, I am right over here. I'm located in Massapequa Park. Tonight, I am migrating east to Mastic here, to my mom's house, so that I'll be where there's going to be more snow. But nonetheless, as you all know, central and eastern Long Island is not getting the heaviest of the snow. If I could take a plane and fly to Boston tonight, I would totally do it, because I just want to be where the heaviest snow is going to be. But to keep me excited about the future, I just had to look and see if there was going to be another storm. And we do have a little something here. You have, again, this is like 8 or 9 days out, so this probably won't even happen, but we have more than one model showing it. You have this upper low here, this piece of energy, and the GFS has it diving to the south and east like this, as you'll see. So as that dives to the south and east, you would have to watch out on the northern side for a period of accumulating snow. This would be March 20th into the 21st, so first day of spring. Again, this is 10 days out, but you'd have to watch it here for a period of accumulating snow. So just some food for thought as we go through this storm and look ahead to the start of spring. Just, you know, we might not be out of the woods just yet. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I just like to keep excited because I still hope. I'm waiting for a storm that brings 12 plus to Long Island. We sort of did have that in January, but it would be nice to have another storm that brings 12 plus. But, we'll see what happens. This storm will likely bring 6 plus to Mastic, where I'm going to be, so that'll be a good storm. All right, that's it. That's my last video update on the storm. Hopefully the forecast turns out to be right. Watch out eastern New England for blizzard conditions. Watch out for your band of 1 to 2 feet coming in here. Sorry. Watch out for your band of 1 to 2 feet coming into eastern New England here. That's your band of 1 to 2 feet. That includes Boston, Providence, Cape Cod, Portsmouth, and all of Maine. So watch out. That's your band of 1 to 2 feet. Okay. Thank you for watching.